I now request the following dignitaries to come to the dais for lighting the Buddha Vilaka. Professor Bhaskar Ramamurthy,
அந்த கேபிள் கொடுங்க. இது இருக்குல்ல.
Dr. Ponraj, Professor Prabhat Ranjan, Mr. Mark Hopkins, Professor Kumrat Narayan. And we request the dignitaries to take their seat on the dais.
இல்லை பேசணும்ல.
Good morning. I'm Usha Nagarajan, Chief Operations Officer for the National Center for Combustion R&D at IIT Madras. It's our pleasure to host this first Abdul Kalaam Conference on sustainable growth and sustainable cost in our campus. I now request Professor Kumrat Narayan from Georgia Tech, Chairperson Program Committee and also an alumnus of IIT Madras, to formally welcome the gathering. Professor Kumrat Narayan.
Vanakkam and Namaskar. Welcome to the first Abdul Kalaam Conference on sustainable growth and sustainable cost. So I know that this morning all of you are distinguished guests from my perspective, and I know that this morning you chose to attend either in person or in the case of many people around the world through the webcast that we are putting up. Thank you for taking the time and thank you for giving us this chance. Throughout the ages, leaders including Swami Vivekananda, Gandhiji, Mahatma Gandhiji, and more recently President Abdul Kalaam have emphasized that the well-being of rural India is the heart of making India succeed and also the character of the nation. Today this has become very critically evident. So what we are trying to do is hope to show that at least there is one path so that others can develop better paths. To accomplish this vision and the guidance that we have received over the ages. So this is at least the purpose. We hope we can do much better than that. So now let me thank the organizers, our hosts, IIT Madras, and particularly the National Center for Combustion Research and Development, and the team headed by Professor Satyanarayana Chakravarti and Usha Nagarajan. Over the past year, and much more particularly over the past few months, they have worked so hard to deliver the excellence that we take for granted from the IIT Madras. Okay? And you know that this has occurred, and all of you are here despite the terrible conditions that have existed in the city and the whole state over the past 6 months. So this is what we have come to expect. As a visitor here, all I see is gracious hospitality and friendliness. None of the difficulties behind it. So thank you very much, and let me now welcome Professor Satyanarayana to do the formal introduction of the director. He's a professor of aerospace engineering at IIT Madras. And I found out from their brochure that he is also leader of the National Center for Combustion Research and Development, which is today the largest such academic center in the world. But throughout the document, I could not see his name anywhere, and that is typical of what he is. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Kumrat. Just as a personal note, Professor Kumrat actually was my teacher at Georgia Tech, and this is my way of paying gratitude to you to host this conference. It's actually a proud privilege for us to do so. And pretty interesting. My job here is to actually welcome you all, as well as to introduce Professor Bhaskar Ramurthy, the speaker at the inaugural session here. But I was very surprised that there was an introduction to the introducing person that Professor Kumrat did. Thanks very much. So, without further ado, I'd like to introduce to you Professor Bhaskar Ramurthy. Of course, for those of us on campus, of course, it literally means that we don't need an introduction at all. But I think for the record, as well as for people who are watching from elsewhere, away from this campus, Dr. Bhaskar Ramurthy is a professor of electrical engineering at IIT Madras and the director of the institute. A BTech in electronics alumnus of IIT Madras, he earned an MS and PhD from University of California, Santa Barbara, followed by 2 years at AT&T Bell Labs before returning to IIT Madras to teach here. He served as director of planning at IIT Madras, dean of planning, at IIT Madras before becoming director in 2011. His research is on wireless communication networks. He is the principal architect of the CORDECT wireless local loop system and broadband CORDECT wireless DSL system deployed in India and 15 other countries. It's our proud privilege to request Professor Bhaskar Ramurthy to deliver the inaugural address.
Very good morning to all those assembled here, and hearty welcome to our institute. Very special welcome to so many of our distinguished participants who have come from different parts of the world and who are here for this inaugural conference of the Abdul Kalaam Conference. On behalf of the institute and all my colleagues, let me join you in wishing you a very good conference for the next 3 days. And hope you're able to. The weather is also sort of eased up, and hopefully you'll enjoy it. I believe there's a cultural program this evening, and so I think your days and evenings are full. I hope you make a lot of good friends and are able to take forward ideas that emerge from this interaction in the next 3 days. I didn't realize I was supposed to speak for long. Okay. Normally I inaugurate the conference, say these sweet little things and disappear. But I do this all the time here, so I didn't realize that this was a little different. But there are the overall theme of the conference and several topics in this are close to my heart. I personally have also spent some time thinking about these things, so maybe I can share a few thoughts with you. Broadly, it can be, I think looking back after the last 40, 50 years, and particularly, it's probably true right from independence, but I can't vouch for it personally. General tendency until recently has been to assume that there are these, wonderfully engineered solutions. Usually, they're all large systems that sit somewhere in the back, invisible to us, which provide us all the wonderful comforts and necessities of life at the flick of a switch. And it is infinite in supply, and after we use whatever we use, it just disappears. And a lot of this was came to be believed right up to the common man, because that's how the new exposure that they got to the developed world appeared like to them. This whole viewpoint was encapsulated once by in an interaction that I had with a person who was cooking in a house, a male gentleman, and there was no water, just like now. So we were talking to him and he said, in Tamil he said, "Enna sir, switch putta varname." Okay. So we had transformed a person who had very intimate knowledge of the cycle and of the ancestors not very long ago, to a point where he believed well and truly that if you put on the switch, water will come from somewhere. He didn't really know what happens, but there is all this wonderful stuff that's been discovered and the world's been changed forever, and you put on the switch and the water will come. So this was not only I believe the underlying belief system of ordinary people. I think this pervaded even the so-called intellectuals and scientists and engineers, because we were all trained to believe that all we have to do is master these things, learn a few degrees, get a PhD, sit down in the chair, think a little bit, and we'll also come up with all these systems and solve the problems. Actually, there's nothing wrong about one need to be biased against large systems. I don't have any ideological preferences for any of these things. If anything works and works well, it's fine. The problem we have had with large systems in India is not necessarily fundamental to the technologies or the approach or anything. It has to do with several things. One of which is that from the time we set about building ourselves back, we have been and continue to be short of capital. Capital is expensive in India because of various reasons, the way the economy was running. Interest rates here have traditionally always been double digits, and therefore capital is very expensive. And the moment you have to bring in a lot of capital for large systems, the risks multiply, and that brings along with it a whole lot of constraints on how it's funded and who takes the risks and how it's run and so on and so forth, and also who the benefits will flow to. So if you sit down and carefully analyze why so many white elephants are there, whether it's in water treatment, sewage treatment, whatever it is, it doesn't matter, right? You will find that somewhere after all the coconuts have been broken and the foundation stones have been laid, you will find that the friction, they say the rubber hits the road, but here we get the friction after that. And that is when you start looking at how the money is being spent and how the interest starts piling up. A lot of the NPAs, a lot of the things that we have done, a lot of the trouble we find ourselves in is fundamentally can be traced back to that. What happens when you have decentralized systems is that, smaller systems, is that the risk gets taken by those who are the beneficiaries. They have tighter control about what resources go into it and where the benefits of that system will flow. If you have your own mini sewage treatment plant in your home, you get to use the water that you treat. You also get to know whether it's their input or not. You also decide whether the wastewater is going into it or not disappearing somewhere else. You decide how much to spend on it. You calculate how the returns will come. So you have tight control, and you may be willing to bear the cost of that capital because of the benefits that flow to you. So this is where actually a lot of the fundamental problem friction arises, and you find that therefore wherever there have been good decentralized solutions, well engineered ones, cost effective ones, they have taken off like anything. Okay. Even something as simple as comparatively compared to delivering water and other things as a telecom network. I work in that area. In the 80s and 90s, we used to always have this, just you Google up the old newspapers, growth is 1 million lines per year, when will we ever get phones for everybody, this, that, and the cost per line is so high because we were laying copper in the ground, and you lay copper in the ground, that was the main cost of providing telephony, and you have to put it for the next 40 years and earn returns on that. And you can't keep digging every day to incrementally add copper. You have to put copper assuming that you will need 100 million lines 20 years from now, and all of that is burning interest every day. Totally unviable. See, in the country which has capital, where capital doesn't know what to do, you might as well put it in the copper. Here it was a different story, right? So it never took off. But the moment mobile telephony became affordable, prices came down to the point that people could afford it. Half of the investment in a mobile phone connection is yours. You buy the phone. So the beauty is earlier all the investment was put by the telecom company, and they were supposed to charge you monthly along with the interest. Now you are willing to spend half the money in providing the connection, because typically And now it's more than half because people buy fancy phones. But even in the days of the feature phone, the cost for providing one connection, half of it was borne by the telecom operator, half of it was borne by you once it went to a mobile phone. Whereas in the case of telephony, wireline telephony, all of it was borne by them. Not only that, they were bearing it for the next 40 years for the customers who are going to show up in the next 20 years because they have to dig now. Okay? It is like absolutely impossible. The technology was fine. There's nothing wrong with wireline technology. Even now, all of you, I'm sure, prefer talk on a wireline phone. Quality is so much better, right? The problem is the way the investment pattern for that technology was not suitable to us, highly suitable to the advanced countries. Mobile telephony, this was not intended. It was intended to provide mobility in the West, but the unintended consequence of mobile telephony and Moore's law was that we got something that was suitable to our this situation. The moment you saw that yes, you could get a connection now, and that too wherever you go, it is not sitting in your house, and all you have to do is spend a few thousand rupees for it, you're willing, right? Where did all this issue of risk go away? The amount of money that's been spent by Indians on providing telephony for themselves is enormous. But it's de-risked completely. That is the reason you went for it. Okay? So this should tell us something about what happens with water, what happens with urban planning. There's no point lamenting our cities are so badly planned. Go look at Washington, because there also now it's flooding. But go look at any of those cities. See, here, if you take a virgin area and lay out a plan and put 40 feet, 180 foot roads and 40 foot roads, from zero, the value of the land will go up 100 times by the time you finish it. Okay? So it will be only for those who have the money to move into that area. They've already moved into such areas, so it will not go. How do urban areas develop in India? Urban areas develop by starting out in the fringe of the city with almost unplanned mode. People buying plots at negligible prices, building small houses, then the roads will come, then the pipeline will be laid. Then it's all the reverse order. It has to be that way. It cannot be the other way. Of course, even that could be done in a planned fashion, and that we are not doing, because we refuse to recognize that this is the way we will go. That this is the low investment approach, or the incremental investment approach. Okay? We are not, no urban planner worth the salt has sat down and said, I will find nice ways to do this. All you do is keep on mugging up from the other models and keep on lamenting about how we do it wrongly. They are not going to be able to do it any other way. If you say, I'm going to build this lovely city, that is all done perfectly, by definition it's value, because it's in short supply in the country. It will work like anything, and it will not be now meant for those for whom you thought you were designing it. So how do you build a city in an incremental fashion such that the end result is nice? Okay, that is the interesting question, right? And that we have not solved, right? There are many ways. I don't want to go into it. You can sit and think about it. You can sit in a room and think. There are many nice things we can do to get to the end point in a manner by which, as you invest, it becomes better. Okay. The wireless telecom network today is that kind inherently. You keep adding towers, coverage becomes better, capacity becomes better, and so on. So you can they can increase incrementally. You can buy a feature phone, then you can trade that for a smartphone, then you can trade that for an iPhone. So it is it's inherently providing that. Okay, but not by design, by chance, by God's grace, if you want to use that term. So we have to think differently if you want to address these issues. Water, for example, right? This campus, treats its wastewater and recirculates it in the secondary pipeline for all the uses for which it doesn't come into direct contact with you. And we are able to straight away reduce our requirement from the city by 40-45%. And we are able to do that because we are a small campus and we could lay a second pipeline. This solution as it is cannot be transplanted into Madras, Chennai city, except in some gated colonies and so on. Right? But what do you do there? That we have to start thinking. Okay? How do you get similar benefits at the home level or at a building level, apartment level? There are ways, but we are not thinking it. We are thinking, why is that important? Because the investment for that will be happily made by those flat owners and house owners, because they are going to get the immediate benefit and they can see that they are already spending more in the existing so-called solution. But if you tell them all to give tax and you will build a big system and you will do this, nobody will. The reason is there is no faith that it will deliver, no faith that the benefit will reach them. There is no faith that it will be run properly, and most probably that project, if you look at it very carefully, removing all the window dressing on it is unviable because of the cost of capital. Okay, which they have. So everybody wants desalination plants. Please go and dig out what is the cost per kiloliter of water from a desalination plant. Okay, so you will see that it's not viable. Of course, compared to no water at all is viable because you're willing to pay anything for it. But compared to other solutions. So this is really the way that there is a thinking issue, and I just wanted to make that point and leave. That we have to open up our, clean out our minds from many assumptions. That are, some of which are built in, some of which are not subconscious. Like the man whose story I told you about, right? And let us not fool ourselves into thinking that that's a problem of the uneducated or the, it's not at all a problem of them. It's a more severe problem with the educated because they come with more baggage. Okay, how to free our minds and be true engineers in looking at the problem objective. Engineers are supposed to be the most objective in looking at the conditions that are constraints that are playing in a particular problem and looking at all the options and finding the optimal solution without bias, without favor, without predisposition. It's supposed to be that way. So, how do we look at all these issues? Whether it's energy, right? Energy is another thing that we have to really understand. And the other thing about the last thing about rural and urban. India's by the time we finish talking and keep talking, rural India is now becoming urban India because roads. The government finally realized that forget about everything, just put the roads. Okay, and they are putting in the roads everywhere. And already there is empirical data that employment opportunities have gone up measurably wherever the roads have gone, because people can just move out and work, okay, and come back to their homes and so on. So, in states which are sort of ahead in the country, like Tamil Nadu, if you can go to, many of you might be from rural areas, the differences are becoming less and less. Okay, whether it's in healthcare, whether it is transportation, kind of homes, people build the same kind of homes now in rural areas that you build in the city. Okay, same type of bathrooms, same type of kitchens. Right, everything is available because everything can be ordered right overnight. So schools are becoming better and better, or as bad as the ones in the city, whichever way you want to look at it. And there's really beginning to be less of a difference. So the issue really is not so much how do you run a productive society. How does a productive society run itself, rather, in a distributed fashion, where distances are not as, things are not as congested with its problems as in a city, but distances are more, and how do you run things efficiently, how do you deliver. So now, all these new methods of delivery of goods, and all the e-commerce and all the hyperlocal systems, all these technologies are very important. Very important. One can think of actually completely scaled up reverse logistics, what they call reverse logistics, but in our context, that would be actually a network which is bidirectional, which goods flow not just in a hub and spoke model, but in the reverse way, from all over from everywhere to everywhere, in a rural context. That can completely explode and change the business pattern and the way economy runs across the country. There's so much demand, for example, for as people come out of the basic, beyond the basic requirements of food, they'll want to eat what they like and what they think is better for them. So already you can see that there's so much demand for virgin coal pressed oil and all that in India. So all the checklists are coming back to life in the villages. People will start ordering oil from their village, and they'll want to do that using Amazon in their village. Not okay. So how do you do this, right? Literally hundreds of thousands of distribution points, hundreds of thousands of delivery points, not the conventional Amazon model or Ola, Flipkart model. So how do you do it? So there are all sorts of, even for new technology, even for the new internet technology companies, there's a lot of things to think about in this context. And it is in thinking this way that I think our both, it's exciting for the youth, the younger people of the country to figure out all these things, and also to get out of this clouded and completely constrained thinking that we've been almost slave to for as long as we can remember. This was not the way it was. I had the good fortune very recently of making a pilgrimage, I should say, that's the right word, but it was just a chance visit to the home of J.C. Bose, Calcutta. It's not easy to go there, all the 3 websites if you Google it, and all of them give different timings. So they run it very, very inefficiently, if you want to use that word, trustees. But if you persist and you call and all that, you can find out when they're open, and you can go visit. It's amazing. Go and see how his mind worked and how he went about looking at problems and solving them. And even if you go by today's yardsticks of papers and where they are published, there's a list there. And so every year he published 2 or 3 papers in Nature. I think except for 2 or 3 publications, none were in any journal other than Nature. Sitting in his home in Calcutta. Right? So I think, and the kind of problems he worked on. So I think the issue is really freeing the mind. It is not anything else. And then we'll be able to solve all these problems. I don't think any of these are so-called water problem. There is enough water. To all the numbers, there is enough water. There is no issue. Okay. If you just calculate how much rain falls in about 150 villages in Chengalpattu district near Chennai, even in a bad year, there is enough water in Chennai. And if those villages stop growing food for 1 year, it's not going to hurt them. It's not going to hurt India either. Just give them more money than they ever made by growing food. They'll be happy. Okay. Then find a way to collect all that water and bring it here. Why go to Kaveri and Godavari and Krishna and all this? Right? I mean, I'm not saying my solution will work. I'm saying think about this. Then find out this doesn't work. Then think about something else. But that's not the way we are going about it, right? This whole Godavari Krishna thing is the same old model. Somewhere there is this infinite source from which it will keep coming and we can keep pushing out and switch bota on the wrong. Okay, this is where the origin of that solution also is. It is in that firm belief, right? Which is where even the engineers are thinking like that. So all the best and hope you have a good time. Hope you free yourselves. Thank you.
We now have thank you very much for this wonderful talk. It was impromptu, but I think right from the heart. And we can see that happen in our campus where all these things are implemented. Professor Bhaskar. We'll move on to the next talk of the program here. This is actually by Dr. S.V.E.L. Ponraj. He served as a scientific advisor to President Kalam. He is a public figure and writer, having formed in 2016 a political party named Abdul Kalaam Vision Party. The party aims to turn Tamil Nadu into a developed state following the guidance of Dr. Kalam. He will speak from his perspective of having worked closely with Dr. Kalam in the later years.
Good morning, friends, and really very happy to participate in the inaugural session, to interact with you in the first Abdul Kalaam Conference held at IIT Chennai. And I think after Dr. Kalam's departure, this is the first conference which is held in India by a great institution, IIT Madras, and then in association with Georgia Tech University. And really thankful to the director, Bhaskar Ramamurthy, Professor Bhaskar Ramamurthy, who has given a very candid address on how to find a solution, a local solution for distributed challenges. And really thankful to him for hosting such a conference in Chennai. And my greetings to Professor Komrat for taking pain, Narayanan Komrat for taking pain to taking a great effort in conducting this conference at Madras. And my greetings and congratulations to you for such a great effort, sir. And I am very happy to meet Dr. Kalam's and my friend, Mr. Mark Hopkins from National Space Society. And we have been working together since 2010 on the Space Solar Power Initiative. And really, you will be surprised to know that based on Dr. Kalam's Aerospace Vision 2050, Mark Hopkins have initiated a program, a mission, Kalaam NSS Space Solar Powered Initiative in 2012. And really, that is, I'm going to talk in detail about that, and he is also going to address in 2:30 a session. And certainly, my topic, what they have given, is looking back. Dr. Kalaam is always looking forward. He is always, he is given a vision for the future. And he is a borderless scientist, and who has no borders. He is not restricted only in India. But he has grown up, or he has given a vision for the nation. And certainly, the one example of Kalaam NSS Space Solar Powered Vision initiative by NSS itself shows how he is borderless. And mainly, I think this is a wrong picture. There is no such picture available. I think everywhere it is floating around with the Google. But anyway, so I would like to just share my thoughts on Kalaam's vision for global sustainable future by looking back what we have done. So maybe Dr. Kalaam has given the vision for sustainable development in all the areas. When he has given a vision, Developed India Vision 2020 in 1998, he thought about how India should be in 2020. Now we have come up to 2019. We have to really retrospect ourselves whether we have really achieved or not. Anyway, we look at that. Here we go. But Kalaam's certain area where he has given and what he has done and what is the vision he has given. He has not only given the vision, but he has not only talked, he has not only interacted, but he has also executed and towards the sustainable development vision. If you look at the water, sustainable water management solution and the smart waterways grid, he has given, he studied the first project he has given as soon as he has become the 10th President of India. When I joined as a Director of Technology Interface at the President's Secretariat, the first task he has assigned to me is to study the interlinking of rivers projects exposed by K.L. Rao and Captain Dastur. And I have gone through that, and then finally we have come to the conclusion that the National Smart Waterways Grid, which is the concept which is given by Professor A.C. Kamaraj, is one of the alternative solution for interlinking of rivers which can be implemented. So it is not only policy has been evolved or the plan has been drafted, but it has been put forth to Government of India, Government of Bihar and Government of Tamil Nadu, to both the Chief Ministers, ex-Chief Minister Madam Jayalalitha and ex-Chief Minister Kalaignar also. But still it has to take off. Next on the energy, Dr. Kalaam gave an energy independence vision 2030. I would like to talk more further when I elaborate on that. And environment mission, he has given a sustainable environment management solution by solid liquid resource management as a green clinic concept which has to be implemented in our corporations and our municipalities and village panchayat. How this will make a clean green villages as well as carbon neutral villages, carbon neutral corporation, carbon neutral municipalities, and thereby carbon neutral state, how it can be done. And then on the economy, he advocated, we have been government after government is working on extractive policies based on the tax collection, how efficiently they collect tax through various means or various methods or various processes. But that is not going to help to make country a developed nation. But he addressed, we have to build inclusive policies, inclusive institutions and inclusive governance. Then only we can build on top of a development infrastructure and country will further prosper. And on the employment generation, it is his initiative which has taken the birth of National Skill Development Mission with a seed capital of 36,000 crores by the Government of India in 2004. Dr. Kalam wanted we have to build a global human resource cadre. He is not only the resource cadre, 150 million global human resource cadre is not only meant for only India, but also it should be a global human resource cadre. The second on the education, Kalam's dream on a new education, school education, higher education, research. Recently in 2016, when the Government of India launched the draft policy and sought opinion from the users at the time, when Kalam was no more. But Dr. Kalam and myself has brought out a book called The Manifesto for Change, which has dealt in very detail on school education, higher education, research. Based on that, I have recommended 38-page recommendation to the draft education policy on the school education, higher education, and research and innovation, and recently released a draft National Education Policy 2019 has adopted 100% whatever we have suggested. That means that Kalam's vision for the nation has been adopted in the draft education policy, which is going to bring a major transformation, a ground level transformation at the school education as well as higher education and research if it is implemented in the truth and spirit. And I hope his contribution is getting realized slowly. Now I am trying to take his policies to the central government and the state governments and trying to advocate the public policy so that the dream of Dr. Kalam's in realizing the Development India Vision 2020 cannot be realized by 2020, but the Vision 2020 will be realized maybe by 2030 or 2040, I don't know, but we have to continuously work for that. From in India, if you look at it, any concept to at least to get a recognition, minimum years, seeding years is 7 years. So now slowly one by one is getting elected. And on the healthcare, he made me to work on the healthcare and he made me to do PhD on the healthcare, and I was about to submit the thesis on the global affordable healthcare through cloud computing. Based on his insistence, he was my last PhD. I am the last PhD student for him, and he completed the synopsis presentation and approved it 10 days before his departure. So, due to various reasons, I am just going to complete it and submitting the thesis very soon. And anyway, I will talk about that. And bringing the sustainable development to the rural areas, the Pura is given the solution. Pura is the solution is given, and certainly that is going to be the ultimate vision, which incorporates as a cluster of villages. How do we realize the sustainable development vision in the Pura? So you take any subject for that matter, which is being thought about it, and Dr. Kalam has thought about it 20 years back, and he has given the plan, and he has given the policy, and he has advocated it, and certainly now he is no more, but we are trying to take his vision forward with the changing dimensions. India 2020, I don't want to go into detail because everybody knows about it. So here's 17, he formed 17 task teams, 500 members, 5,000 people he constituted as consulted. 2 years he has worked, he brought out 25 reports, and then finally Vision 2020 has been submitted to the government in 1998. And Prime Minister Vajpayee has accepted this as a national vision, and based on that, Dr. Kalam has addressed the state assemblies and the parliament, and he has given a education session, training session for the So this Vision 2020 is built on 5 important areas: agriculture and agro-food processing, education and healthcare, information and communication technology, and infrastructure including electric power, and critical technologies and strategic industries. We have to achieve self-reliance. So when we achieve 10% economic growth rate, GDP growth rate for continuously for next 10 years, then certainly India will become a developed nation. India will become a knowledge superpower. Otherwise, it is very, very difficult. Achieving 4% growth rate or 7% growth rate or 9% growth rate continuously for the last 20 years, we have achieved only 9% growth rate for 8 to 9% growth rate only for 4 years. Beyond which we have been lingering around 7%, 6% to 7%. So when we evolve inclusive policies for growth, which can help India to take 10% growth rate for next continuous 10 years, then certainly India will become a developed nation. So science and technology is a key for that, which will evolve the National Prosperity Index and the distinctive profile by 2020. If we achieve Developed India Vision 2020, then these are the distinctive profile. That is a nation where the rural and urban healthcare, urban divide has reduced to a thin line. A nation where there is an equitable distribution and adequate access to energy and quality water. A nation where agriculture, industry and service sector work together in symphony. A nation where education with various system is not denied to any meritorious candidates because of societal or economical discrimination. A nation which is the best destination for the most talented scholars, scientists and investors. A nation where the best of healthcare is available to all. A nation where the governance is responsible and transparent. A nation where the poverty has been totally eradicated, illiteracy removed, and crimes against women and children are absent and none in the society feels alienated. A nation that is prosperous, healthy, secure, peaceful and happy and continues with sustainable growth path. A nation that is one of the best place to live in. A nation that is one of the best places to live in and proud of its leadership. So these are the 10 pillars, and with these 10 pillars, he has addressed IITs, IIMs, universities, institutions, and formed two group of students as a team to work on these 10 pillars. And his last address at the IIM Ceylon is also based on these 10 pillars. I have worked with him to address the students along with a number of institutions, and certainly he has made the students to work on this Developed India Vision 2020. Whether the current, our political leaders realizes the vision or not, but the future youth will certainly realize. That was his hope, and that hope will get realized. And if you look at solution towards a non-vulnerable sustained economic growth, if we bring a remarkable change in our socio-political and economic policies with inclusiveness as a focus, then I am confident that we as a nation will be able to overcome the economic crisis. So this is what the is given for the economic growth. And if you look at the Sustainable Development Mission for the rural areas, the Pura 1.0 initiated by UPA government, and the Pura 2.0 by the UPA 2 government, and the National and the Syama Prakash Mukherjee Urban Mission initiated by the Modi 1.0 government. And these three missions certainly has inherent lacunas which could not realize the vision of Pura in its full proposition as envisioned by Dr. Kalam, and with the concept given by Professor Indaresan, who was the then IIT Madras director of IIT Madras, and he was the architect of the Pura. And Dr. Kalam has built on top of it and taken this vision to the nation, and certainly the vision of Professor Indaresan, in where he worked as a director in IIT, should realize. When it realizes, and certainly the Pura will become the physical connectivity, electronic connectivity, economic connectivity, and knowledge connectivity. So these four connectivities, if it is implemented in the cluster of villages, and then certainly the real sustainable development on health, energy, water, environment, and then employment generation, and then economic development, and then education and healthcare in the rural areas will become equivalent to the services available in the cities. That is the quality of services which is demanded by the citizens of the cities will be made available to the citizens of the rural areas also. So we have to see how it is an economic proposition, and the national promission, and we need many things. I think I don't have time. I will just skip it up. And then energy independence, clean, green, environment, and water management. So integrated vision for energy independence, environment, and water management is given the vision, energy independence vision 2030, and is given the energy mix policies and how it should be from the hydropower, solar power, nuclear power, wind energy, thermal energy, and renewable energy, and then coal energy. What is the target which we have to achieve? And what are the research and development missions which we have to carry out? And from 5% of renewable energy usage to 25%, how do we enhance it? And how do we empower and enhance our thorium research? Thereby, we create for the next 100 years or 500 years, we have to build, we have to develop a nuclear power based on the phase 3, the thorium hybrid nuclear power generation capability. How do we build on that top of it? So then he has given a biofuel development mission to produce 60 million tons per year. Today, airlines are closed every year. Every 2 years, one airlines are closed. Today in India, we have only 3 airlines. Major 3 airlines. Majority for the last 20 years, 13 airlines have been closed. The major cause for that closure is the tax component. The tax component, and then there are many other reasons for poor governance, and there are other inherent problems at the ATR control systems deployed in the airport. These are all the other things. But the major issue is the fuel cost. The major issue is the tax component. So these are the 2 major components. When Dr. Kalam envisioned and launched this biofuel vision for producing 60 million tons per year, if the government also worked together and evolved a biofuel policy and then create an ecosystem, then certainly today India is the first country to produce the biofuel, and that will empower all the jet fuel. Today, most of them, around 40% of the aircrafts are flying through biofuel. And certainly every airline companies across the world are creating for millions of tons of biofuel production. And we have lost the ground since we have not followed whatever is advocated. And if it is advocated by if it is followed by the government, certainly we would have gone in a bigger way and we would not have faced this problem. So what Dr. Kalam has advised, instead of environmental preservation policy or conservation policy, you evolve the environmental enrichment policy. This is what Dr. Kalam has advocated, and I hope certainly we will go for it. Then his advocation is on the global energy and water mission, space solar power stations in equatorial Earth orbit, and space assembly and maintenance and repairs, space infrastructure built up, and seawater desalination using space solar power. I think IIT is the first one to come out with the Surya Jal project, and that Surya Jal project gives you a very, very cost-effective solution for the seawater desalination plant. Today in Tamil Nadu we have an MLE plant for 150 million liters per day water at the cost of 1,000 crores. But if the government of India, this has been launched by IIT Madras in 2005 itself. I think, I don't know how many of you know, Dr. Kumar was the one who was worked on this project. And certainly if we would have implemented this, and certainly we would have, half the cost, we can certainly implement 150 million liters per day through Surya Jal project. That is also from IIT Madras. And in this, Dr. Kalam has advocated a World Space Vision 2050. The 3 major components of this World Space Vision 2050, the large-scale societal missions including space solar power mission, enabled by low-cost access to space, and the evolution of comprehensive space security, doctrine, policy and program, and the expansion of space exploration and current application missions. The World Space Vision 2050 would enhance the quality of human life, inspire the spirit of international collaborative space exploration, expand the horizons of knowledge, and ensure the space security for all nations of the world. So when he advocated this World Space Vision 2050 in 8 spacefaring nations, and inspired by Dr. Kalam's World Space Vision 2050, NSS, National Space Society, under the chairmanship of leadership of Mark Hopkins, has launched Kalaam Space Solar Power Initiative in US. And today I hope University of, I think Ohio University has joined, and Beijing University has joined in this collaborative research. I hope in Indian IIT as well as Indian Institute of Space Technology should also quickly join, and India and US, ISRO, DRDO and institutions have to work with NSS to realize this vision. I think they will. It's not okay. Huh? Can you just go to the next slide? Particularly when Dr. Kalaam was honored by NSS with the Von Braun Medal Memorial Award in 2013 ISDC conference, and given by Mr. Mark Hawkins. He is there. He is the one who is there here, and he has given the medal. And Mark Hawkins said, anyway, he is going to say that Kalaam NSS energy initiative is a transformative idea that can upshift the US and Indian economies by meeting the urgent global need for scalable, carbon neutral, green, 24-hour renewable power source. This is what he has made a statement at that time. And Kalaam has said, by 2050, even if we use every available energy resource what we have, fossil fuel or whatever we have, but there is an answer. An energy source that produces no carbon emissions, an energy source that can reach to most distinct villages of the world, and energy source that can turn both countries into net energy and technology exporters. That's what Dr. Kalaam has said. So with this space exploration, space industrialization, international space stations, lunar base station, the many space stations is advocated, space security, energy from space, and space solar power satellite system, configuration and orbital characteristics. There are two kind of vision. One is launching a space mirror satellite at the at the low Earth orbit. Another one is launching the space solar powered satellite at the geosynchronous orbit. So these are the two missions which India is aiming at. And today, India can launch 4 tons per mission. But if we have to achieve this space solar powered mission, we should be able to build the capability to launch 10 tons of space solar powered satellite into the geosynchronous orbit. And that means you have to work on the launch vehicle technology, you have to work on the hypersonic reusable launch vehicle technology, you have to work on the air breathing technology, you have to work on how to transport the SPV power generated in the space to the terrestrial system, whether through laser waves or microwaves or neutrino particles. There are great opportunity for research. This is what Dr. Kalaam gave it to all of you, and certainly you have the great chance to work with our institutions and ISRO and DRDO to work on various missions to realize this mission. And this is a great chance and an opportunity which is given to us. And now we look at the focus on space-based solar power amidst of challenges. India's vision is to bring down the cost of access to space to less than $2,000 per orbital kilogram. USA by 1995, NASA took a first look at space solar power in the light of the several advances made in system architecture, solar cell weight and efficiency, lightweight array structures, and concluded that technology of the state-of-the-art was adequate to establish cost-effective SSP system. That means USA has assured there is a technology we can certainly adopt SSP, space solar powered systems in the country. And Japan, throughout 1990s, Japan has made quite significant studies in advancing specific technologies for space solar power system for Japan. There is the same population density and hence land availability constraints as India. China, at the recent international SSP conference in Saigon, it has emphasized that space-based solar power stations are now vital because the rapid economic development in China has brought the rate of expansion in energy demand, and there is explosive and unprecedented recent human history. You would have seen the artificial moon program by China, and what Dr. Kalaam and Mark Hawkins has envisioned, and that artificial moon program, what China is working on that, and space-based solar power. So Dr. Kalaam has given a national solar mission target by 2050 to 200 gigawatt which is equal to 36 gigawatt on 24/7. Space solar power is clean, perennial and abundant, 24/7. Technology for building orbiting space solar power station, complex, challenging, time consuming. It will take 10 to 15 years to demonstrate. And the technologies, energy conversion efficiencies, wireless transmission from space, cost of access to space from 20,000 per orbital kg to 2,000 per orbital kg. So these are the vision he has given. The new and immediate steps forward for NSS, USA and India is this International Space SSP mission. We have to establish International Virtual Laboratory and we have to achieve livable planet here by space industrialization mission and space solar power reusable space transport system. We have to have a collaborative lab to lab collaboration, institution to institution collaboration and government to government collaboration. But for that we need a $4 billion funding, which is what Dr. Kalaam has given. So the next is the integrated vision for energy independence, environmental and water management is a national waterways entering our rivers through national smart waterways grid. I don't want to go into very detail. If you look at, we have taken number of umpteen steps to bring national waterways grid, and this is a grid which can be built from the 250-meter mean sea level height across the country by creating a horizontal plane with a no slope, with a zero slope, which will certainly evolve, which will give you, which can harness 1,500 billion cubic meter of flood water every year. At least if we can harness 50% or even less than 40%, then India we can have 3 crops and India will never be having a water problem in the country. This is what we have achieved, and we have written, both of us have written as in a paper as well as, and the Tamil Nadu, we have suggested Tamil Nadu smart water grid, and what is the benefit we will get, and what kind of a national smart waterways will look like. When Germany can build a national waterways at the height of 900 meter mean sea level, why not India can build at 250 meter mean sea level? So Germany has built, Netherlands has built, US has built, Canada has built, and many countries have built. Recently China has built, connected 2,000 kilometers of river linking by connecting Yangtze River from north to south. If we can think, certainly if we build this, if we take up this vision, certainly every youth in this country will get a value-added employment, whatever the course they study, whatever the discipline they take up. And certainly we have to achieve this greater vision, whatever Dr. Kalaam has given. And now agriculture, industry, service sector, agriculture, second green revolution will be a evergreen revolution. This is what Dr. Kalaam has advocated. If you do that, for that we have to adopt the science and technology in public policy. Industry 2.0 to 5.0, which we have to graduate, and service sector, the quality service we have to assure. And these are the areas which is given. And education and the healthcare missions, as I already told, the education, our inputs, Dr. Kalaam's and my input on the draft education policy has been completely adopted, and I don't have time to discuss in detail, but if there is any questions I can answer. And on the education sector, the one singular project which is a signature project by the vision of Dr. Kalaam is the Pan-African Inaugural project, which is connecting Africa and India. And today, this project is 125 million project by Government of India to Africa, which has been completely architected by myself. The opportunity that I given by Dr. Kalaam as we have implemented. 30,000 students from Africa had graduated from this network from 5 universities from India, and 10,000 doctors have got continuing medical education, got certificate courses from 12 super specialty hospitals from India, which has achieved this, and which has got HERMS Innovation Award, European Union HERMS Innovation Award for Government of India. So Dr. Kalaam has not only talked, not only has given a policy, but he has shown the world how the intercontinental collaboration can bring or meet the sustainable development goals of Africa in meeting education and healthcare through this project. And if you look at on the healthcare, based on the telemedicine, and Dr. Kalaam has made me to work on the research on the healthcare, and which we have implemented. This is what he has inaugurated in my own village, connecting the super hospital from Madurai. And today we have implemented the mobile hospital clinic, mobile diagnostic clinic at Meenakshi Mission Pura. And today, every month, it serves 3,000 patients in 30 villages in 4 districts of Tamil Nadu. And the output of this result is 99% of the treatment can be provided at the doorsteps of the villages. And only 1% need an inpatient admission, and this is the mobile diagnostic clinic. It has everything except CT and MRI, and everything is there, including emergency medicine, everything is available. And then I don't want to go into detail on the inclusive governance. These are all the other things which is given. We have to have inclusive governance leading to inclusive growth with the transparency and the poverty, literacy and crime against women, reduction mission, removal of alienation and tendency, national campaign to eradicate terrorism, regional peace and prosperity. I don't want to go into detail. Foundation for good governance is unity of minds, tolerance, and then developmental politics. These are the three foundation pillars for achieving the vision of Dr. Kalaam. So at the end, at the conclusion, whatever as a carrying forward his mission, Abdul Kalaam Pura mission, we are taking up the sustainable drinking water mission, smart drainage system, smart rainwater harvesting system, pond regeneration, green clinic and biodigester, leading to sustainable development, which is what sustainable water, energy, environment, employment to youth, employment to self-help group women, public-private partnership model, joint venture with village panchayat, 70-30 profit sharing model, minimum 4 lakh revenue generation per panchayat. If a panchayat president is able to adopt Abdul Kalaam Pura mission, every month he can save 4 lakh after implementing developmental programs under the Abdul Kalaam Pura mission. That's what the ultimate objective. So social enterprise, we are bringing social enterprise, Abdul Kalaam mission in the moment, and village panchayat. This is a model which is built, and today it is working with Kadalur district. We have adopted 24 villages and providing safe drinking water mission, and we are in the process of implementing smart drainage system. We are in the process of bringing a biodigester plant, and the many of the missions are going to be implemented in these areas. This was launched in 2017, and today 24 villages in the Kadalur are getting water. And then Abdul Kalaam mission for water management. And this is what has been advocated to the government of Tamil Nadu to manage the water crisis. If Tamil Nadu government adopts the central concept, we are creating a solo water harvesting system in each and every house. That is not going to solve. But creating a water harvesting system at the home and creating a recharging bit at the home, at the streets, at the wards, and then connecting the unused borewells and connecting the open wells, and then finally connecting to the village ponds or lakes. And creating a chain, a water harvesting chain, then only our land, which is being completely covered with the cement roads, have to be regenerated and create a water harvesting chain. Then only we can get a good water, we can increase the water harvesting table, and we are working on various septic tank in our Kaipura. Septic tank, without septic tank, the septic tank improves the higher TDS. But if you implement a centralized biodigester system in each and every village can generate 100 kilowatt of power in the village panchayat. And that will again give you employment generation. So many of the visions which we have implemented, which I have shown here, and these are the areas. So majority of the vision can be realized, and with the single confidence that India can become a knowledge superpower by harnessing the potential of the youth and empowering the youth with the policies, empowering the youth with the science and technology, and empowering the research and innovation in the country can only lead to realizing the vision of Dr. Kalaam. And certainly hope this conference will talk about and deal and will in a very detailed way, and which will empower and which will make the government to realize the vision of Dr. Kalaam. My greetings to IIT Madras, and my greetings to Mr. Dr. Comrade from Georgia Tech University for taking up this vision. Also, my greetings and best wishes for Mark Hawkins, and I welcome Mark Hawkins from National Space Society for enlightening the audience in the National Space Solar Power Mission and Kalaam NSS Space Solar Power Initiative. Thank you.
I think we have time for a couple of questions. It's too valuable an opportunity to miss. Please.